Good morning. Welcome to Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Church of Pasadena. Welcome to all members, friends, and guests. My name is Alan Freeman. I'm happy to serve as your worship associate. Neighborhood Church creates and grows an inclusive community of faith connected by love, spirit, and service. We acknowledge our presence on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva people and traditional caretakers of the land and waters of this campus. Today's service is led by Reverend Dr. Omega S. Burkhart. As part of Black History Month, today's selections include Black History and Black Futures with music led by Dr. Zenaida Robles and pianist Wills Leng, and the Neighborhood Chorus. Please take a moment to silence your devices as we begin our service. And for those of you who use hearing aids, like me, we have a public T-coil which surrounds the sanctuary in a loop. If you don't know how to access it, see me afterwards. I'll get you going for next week. Families with young children are always welcome in the sanctuary. There's an additional play area for the very youngest in our narthex. For older adults and older children who don't need assistance, there's a quiet table for doodling and drawing close to the organ. I have 3 announcements today. Today, after the service, join Reverend Omega for the 3rd Sunday Theology, a discussion of authoritarianism, democracy, and your role in making social change. That'll take place here in the sanctuary. The Justice Singing Group will begin on Wednesday, February 25th, here in the chapel. Bring a friend, learn a song. No previous singing experience is necessary. No music experience is necessary at all. Just come. And one last reminder about the fellowship dinner this coming Saturday, day after Friday. The organizing committee is excited to say we have 120 of you now signed up to attend. And are making final plans to make it an evening to remember. 2 things to note. 1, organizers are looking for a handful more volunteers to help cook the lasagnas. We've purchased them. You need to just cook them. If you are, or not, if you are willing and able, or just have questions, please stop by the Programs Building kitchen after the service and look for Frank Colcord there to find out how. Lastly, a reminder, there's an event at the Rose Bowl the same time as our dinner. So please plan to leave extra time to arrive and park at church. Thank you again to all our volunteers. See you this Saturday at 6, right here in the sanctuary. Our order of service this morning is available as a link in the Sunday email and online by scanning the QR code on the back of your hymnal with your phone camera. Again, welcome to Neighborhood Church, an inclusive faith community connected by love, spirit, and service.
We gather this morning a people of heart and mind, a people of love rooted in action. Love is more than a feeling, says Valerie Kaur. Love is a form of sweet labor, fierce, bloody, imperfect, and also life-giving. A choice we make over and over again. This love engages all of our emotions. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. Come, let us worship together this morning. I invite you into a moment of centering today. Let us take a few minutes to get settled into this space. Get as comfortable as you are able here. Maybe you need to stretch up, out, adjust how you're seated, wiggle, get the wiggles out a little bit. Give yourself a little bit more physical comfort, if that is possible. I invite you to notice, if it's okay with you, to pay attention to your body for just a little bit. I invite you to notice a place inside of you that feels like the center. For some of you, this might be more possible if you close your eyes. Some people feel less comfortable doing that, and that's fine. Find a place inside of you that feels like the center. And breathe for a moment with your attention there. Notice in that place of center if you can feel the presence of love. What does love feel like in that center? Breathe into it. Maybe it feels a little warm, a little tingly. Breathe in and out. And notice the edge of that outgoing breath. Notice love at the center of each incoming breath. Breathing in and out. You might bring some attention, awareness to your own edges. What is the boundary that marks you? Maybe it's your skin. Maybe it's a bubble of energy surrounding you. Or maybe it's somewhere inside, closer to that center. Wherever you find that boundary, that's okay. Breathing in and out. Notice what happens to your center as you're breathing in and out. What happens to your edges, your boundaries as you're breathing in and out. Sometimes our boundaries want to be closed in for protection, and sometimes they want to be big and expansive and roomy, and both are real and okay. as you're ready, I invite you to come back into this space. Big breath in and out, opening your eyes. Each of us is an individual in this space with our own center and boundaries. Each one of us is part of a larger collection of beloved companions here today. All of us part of a larger whole, part of our larger community, part of our larger world, with love at the center of who we are, individually and as a group. Take a deep breath in, stretch up, open your eyes, and get ready to sing with your big voices as we gather for our first hymn this morning.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing hymn 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
It's the time for all ages, and I'd like to invite all the children and youth to come up who would like to join us. Our book today is called We Disagree. Hello, hello. Do you like figs? Oh no, I don't. I snack on twigs. Do you like blue and polka dots? No, I like red. I don't like spots. Do you like newts and toads and frogs? No way, I just like prairie dogs. Do you like warm skies? Warm and sunny skies? I prefer gray. Sun hurts my eyes. Do you like skates? Do you like bikes? I don't like wheels. I'd rather hike. You must like flutes, guitars, and drums. No, no, and no. I'd rather hum. Hum, hum-dee-dum. As someone may be getting frustrated with the conversation. What's wrong with blue? What's wrong with frogs? What's wrong with gray and prairie dogs? We can't agree. We can't be friends. There's nothing more. This is the end. Yes, I agree. Wait, what did you say? What happens next? We just agreed. I'm quite perplexed. We're not the same. Indeed, that's true. Agreed again. But why choose blue? Well, blue is sea, and blue is sky. But red is leaves, and cherry pie. Hey, let's disagree more. Let's disagree, yes. Do you like friends? I'll let you guess. That's our story for today. Let's sing the kids out.
Each Sunday, our congregation dedicates 100% of its contributions. You can donate in one of two ways. You can use your cell phone to donate by texting the number on the screens. And if you prefer to donate in person, put your donation in one of the designated boxes. Or you can do it after the service. Or you can do it in one of the, during the music after the service. You may rise during the music to put your donation in the box if you wish. Please extend help to those in your neighborhood who may need assistance reaching the donation boxes. If you wish to make a payment toward your pledge or contribute to church operations, please make a note in the subject line or use an envelope available at the donation boxes. This week, our gifts will support Friends Indeed. Here with more information, is Rabbi Joshua Levine Grader.
Thank you. Good morning. I like that story. So before I share just a word, how many people know about Friends Indeed? Okay then. So for those who don't know about Friends Indeed, you can go to our website and you can learn more. But I really want to thank you for choosing us as for the Share Your Plate and thinking about those who are most vulnerable. And rather than give you statistics and numbers, I want to tell you just a couple of stories. Because at Friends Indeed, the word love and compassion and dignity that's what we're all about. Even if we can't provide the service that someone is looking for, it's how we provide that service, whether it's food or whether it's an arm around one another, whether it's rental assistance, whether it's visiting you on the street, whether it's in our bad weather shelter, which will be open for the next few nights with this weather coming. It's all about the people that are right in front of us. And so I just want to tell you a couple of things. It's hard to imagine that we're a year after the fire. But Adriana, she lived in her home in Pasadena her entire life. It's where she grew up, it's where her holidays were celebrated, where decades of memories were lived until the Eden fire took it all away. When she had to evacuate, they could only leave with what they could carry, like so many people. In the weeks that followed, her family did what so many survivors did. They had to split up. They had to find places to live. Rent in this city is unbearable. And thankfully, she was able to find us. She caught a break a year after and was able to get a landlord to agree with her, to work with her, to make payments, whatever she could. And then when she started to struggle, she reached out to us. We have an eviction prevention program. And we were able to work with her, to help her, and to work with her landlord to pay the arrears, to help her pay her December rent, and then to give her some space to get back on her path. And that's what we do. Is it going to solve all of her problems? No, but it's going to help her as best we can in the moment that she's most in need and as we go forward into these months. Our women's room is a totally different program. Success is measured not in getting housed, not in providing rent, not in any of the tangible things that we might think of that are needed. The women's room provides love and compassion and care every day to 40 or 50 women. And one story really touched me. A lot of these ladies, they're living on the street. Most of them are seniors, living on the street, living in their cars. And we had a new hand massage machine, apparently, that came in. And one of the ladies saw that, and one of our program attendants, Juliet, she saw the lady was kind of moving her hands a little sore, and she asked her, "Do you want to try this machine out?" And so they turned it on, and she put her hands in the massaging machine, and she helped rub some cream on her hands. And then she told Juliet she could breathe. She had a moment of relaxation, of feeling safe, of feeling just something she doesn't get in most of her life, which is that feeling of being able to breathe, as we did so beautifully earlier in the service. And so your help and your support help all of these people. We're serving hundreds and hundreds of people every week in different ways. And so I just really am grateful that you've chosen to support Friends Indeed. And I'll just leave you, I'm a rabbi, so I'm on a pulpit, and I've only got, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You don't want to give the rabbi the pulpit. I was in synagogue yesterday. There's a pulpit here, but I just want to end by saying, in our Torah reading, in the cycle of the Bible that we're reading now, we're in the book of Exodus. Last week was the portion about the Ten Commandments, and it was very loud, and thunder and lightning and fire and storm, and really kind of overwhelming, revelation. And this week, we read the portion right after that's just all about laws. What happens if your ox gores your neighbor's ox? Does it normally gore? If it does, there's one payment. What happens if you fall in a hole? Is your neighbor responsible for the hole that you fell in? All of these laws goes on for several chapters. And there's an understanding that the revelation and the laws are not separate. That one comes right after the other, to remind ourselves that we come to church or synagogue or mosque to pray, and it feels good. We feel uplifted, more revelatory, but we're going to go out and we're going to come back into the world, and there needs to be justice. There needs to be people who are helping those who are most in need, and that comes with caring for your neighbor. That comes with making sure people have enough to eat and setting rules of society. So we can't just live in the revelation, and we can't just live in the law. At Friends Indeed, we try to bring it together each and every day. And so thank you for being a part of our mission. We're really grateful. Have a great morning.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thanks to everybody for giving generously.
I have two readings for you this morning to ponder before we move into the sermon. The first is from Paul Razor, this selection here, Faith Without Certainty. And the second selection is from John O'Donohue. You can probably already guess which one is heart and which one is mind. Paul Razor says this: "We liberals need to be willing to acknowledge that we are never as autonomous as we think we are. We are always products of our culture, whatever our current place in and stance toward that culture is. We need to find ways to embrace the restraining limits and the nurturing strengths of our communities, especially our religious communities. We must be willing to challenge and critique our communities as well as our larger society when critique is needed. As critics, we are simultaneously inside and outside, independent and interdependent. Coming to see ourselves as social beings does not diminish our autonomy or sense of self. Our identities are always formed in groups, and we cannot fully develop them unless we truly recognize this reality. Understanding ourselves as social beings will only strengthen and deepen our self-understanding. At the same time, our recognition that we are always products of cultures, even when we see ourselves as critics of that culture, can increase the power of our critical and prophetic voice." And now a short reading from John O'Donohue. "With respect and reverence, that the unknown between us might flower into discovery and lead us beyond the familiar field, blind with the weed of weariness and the old walls of habit." is a familiar one, perhaps to some of you, and a version of the story goes like this. Amanda was raised in a non-denominational Christian church. It was the church of her parents. As an adult, she moves to a different city with her family, and she begins the search for a new religious community, one that's right for her whole family, where she's at this point in her life. So she looks up online non-denominational churches, and she finds the local Unitarian Universalist church. Yay for websites. She decides to attend one Sunday, and she finds it a pretty good fit. She attends a conversation facilitated by the lay leaders of the church. In that conversation, they give their testimonies of why they've been members of this church. A few of them, more than one, talk about how they want to be a part of a like-minded community. While Amanda understands this to a certain extent, she is left wondering exactly what that means. She thinks to herself, they talk a lot about being non-creedal, a place where you don't have to believe in one certain path. But if that's the case, do I have to be like-minded to belong there? Amanda leaves the conversation with some questions about this contradiction, because at least in the church of her youth, there wasn't a distinction between being aspirationally similar of mind and inclusive. Perhaps some of you have said that very phrase at some point in your life. I know I have. We want to be part of a like-minded community. I'm left with the follow-up question, though. I wonder how many people I've also alienated by saying that I want to be around like-minded people. I think we, as Unitarian Universalists, we have a bit of a problem of mindedness, and a problem of likeness, especially in this day and age when the repercussions of alienation and the desire to inspire hope and resilience, those can be at odds. And a problem of like-mindedness arises. It's not really very consensus building. In fact, it's not very community-centered, even though it sounds like it is. It creates an inside group and an outside group. It creates a little bit of hubris, and it limits action. And it can be, especially to a newcomer or a person whose identity or their history or their education or anything is different than that of what seems to be like the rest of the group. This can be extremely alienating. Now, the struggle with the concept of like-mindedness goes back probably hundreds of years. We'll talk about the Edict of Torda someday in Third Sunday theology. But it really gained some traction in the 60s, last century, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when Unitarians and Universalists joined as one faith, and they created a movement of shared history and overlapping theologies, and these were being mapped out pretty intentionally in the teaching curricula for adults and youth alike. There were two currents that were coming into direct contact that were actually somewhat oppositional. On the one hand, many people who were finding Unitarianism or Universalism or Unitarianism, Universalism, during that time, were actually coming from other faith traditions, much more so than now. Now we tend to attract folks who are unchurched or religious nuns, as we call them, much more. But not N-O-N-E-S. Sorry. Bless the nuns, too. They are also welcome. Much more so than at that time. At that time, most folks were coming into Unitarianism, Universalism, or Unitarian Universalism from other faith traditions, and a lot of folks were coming with trauma. They were coming in, some of you might be able to relate to this, or maybe not. They were coming in because their identity wasn't accepted in a different faith tradition, or they had a more expansive view of the holy, or they were shamed for who they were loved, or so many other possibilities. In Unitarian Universalism, many found a space for community built on shared rituals that were similar to those of their churches. Now, and I want to be very clear, in many cases, that was white Protestantism, okay? So not for everybody, but for a lot of folks, they found comfort in that. During that time, also, the rise of science was really becoming important as a lived part of our faith. Rational thought, logic became dominant. Humanism became a huge part of who we understand ourselves to be. And soon we became a people, as the joke goes, who sang hymns with a pencil in one hand so we could read ahead and cross out the word God just in case it should appear. You've never heard that joke? Okay. This tendency in Unitarian Universalism, it was and it still is dominant in many of our churches. So simultaneous to this, the creation of curricula to teach about faith formation, as well as children's education programs, they placed an emphasis on principles rather than creed, on education about world religions. Some of you probably took some of these classes or taught them, right? And an emphasis on what other people were doing so we could say, we're not that. There were even historical inaccuracies that made their way into some of those teachings. For example, the phrase, "we need not think alike to love alike." That is widely attributed to very early Unitarian Francis David. But it likely wasn't even him who said it. It was probably John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist Church. But we liked it, so we took it. Not cool, early Unitarians, not cool. So where does that leave us as a people here in the early part of the 21st century? It leaves us here with this cloudy understanding of the importance of rationalism, a desire for community and community adhesion, but a distaste for creed, sometimes rooted in trauma, and an aspirational belief in justice and the beloved community, and a somewhat seasonal allergy to concepts related to God, the word faith and grace, and sometimes even the word church itself. And also a difficulty in describing that for most of us here, many of us, we find this to be life-changing and life-saving. All of those contradictions notwithstanding. And to top it off, some of us believe that everyone in the world should be Unitarian Universalists, or that they are and they just don't know it yet. And contradictorily, we're afraid to talk about our values. We're afraid to be evangelists for Unitarian Universalism because we don't want to scare people away. That's a little complicated. That's a little complicated. So here's what we can do. We can hold all of that, but we unite in the understandings of ourselves as a people rooted in values. We make space for ourselves and others to explore what it means to be individually and collectively on a path together. And we get real loud about it out in the world by doing what we value. And we do this, and we will do this, and we will come into the following scenario over and over again. Because many of us believe that if we just rationally describe how good it could be, that others will follow along. Rabbi Joshua, don't live in the laws, or don't stop with the laws. I'm trying to remember exactly what you said. Don't stop with the laws, live the laws into the world, right? We believe that we can convince other people to be like-minded with us And unfortunately, very rarely in history has that ever actually worked. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with being rational or logical, but it doesn't always work quite in the way we think it will. How many of us make a protest sign, we go for a protest? I do. How many of us think that that protest sign is going to convince the other side? I mean, why not, right? But it likely won't. It likely won't. Nadine Block describes it this way, that the best way to create a sense of cohesion, to change hearts and minds, is not through brute force of rationalism, but rather through more minute shifts in allyship. And she describes it this way. Others behave as if everyone who disagrees with their position is an active opponent, playing out the story of the righteous few, acting as if the whole world is against them. And yet others, she goes on to say, others take a speak truth to power approach, figuring that through moral appeal or force of logical argument, they can somehow win over their most entrenched active opponents. All three of these extreme approaches virtually guarantee failure. In other words, if there's a spectrum of allyship, let's say, that ranges from 1 to 5, and you locate yourself somewhere on that spectrum, usually we locate ourselves at one end or the other because we believe that there are people on the opposite side. You'll never convince, if you are here, you'll never convince this person here through logic and rationality to consider your position to be viable. You might, however, find allyship and understanding in the values that underscore the motivations of everyone on that spectrum, including the people closest to you and furthest away. And your sphere of influence is more closely aligned to those around you. Now, the Freedom Trainers program, I mentioned them last week. They're doing very important work right now around authoritarianism and non-cooperation. This program takes the same methodology a little bit further and suggests that rooting our process of uniting into this call to action, that we must root that first in our values. First, we state clearly what those values are, how we hold them, and we name how the antithesis of those values, it harms us all. We also are clear about how the vision of a future could be with all of us working together. And finally, we take action. You can't leave that piece behind. It helps us move forward. Now notice that these movements of understanding and shared vision don't rely on us being like-minded. In fact, it presupposes that we are different in our rational thinking, that our cultural understandings, our histories, our educations, our jobs, it presupposes that all of those are different because they are. It presupposes that we enter relationships with others with curiosity and open-mindedness, with questions, with wonder, with open hearts, and an intent to learn and explore. Then we can be rooted in our values with a call to action that supports a vision for a future that is aspirational and more full of love for everyone. No one has ever gotten to a place of more love by rationalizing our way into it. And happy Valentine's Day. No one has ever fallen in love by being told they are like-minded. Maybe you fell into maybe you fell into more understanding. Rabbi Joshua, you could have given us a bunch of facts and figures, important, right? But you told us some stories where we could understand the stories of people who are coming to Friends Indeed. That's more important. That's more powerful. And it's through those stories that we develop a love for each other and the world. And here's a hard truth. that's going to sound a little awkward coming from your minister. You don't have to like everyone to love them. I like everybody here. I just want to be very clear. But I don't like everyone in the world, but I aspire to love the hell out of them. I want you to fall in love with the world. I want you to fall in love with the world so that you fight to make it better. We don't do that with our rational brain. We don't do that because we're like-minded, but because the values that we uphold and that we live into the world are life-giving. Justice. Some of you are going to be able to repeat these with me. You might not, and that's okay. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. These are the values of mutual support. These are the values that honor the individual as part of a collective, as part of their cultural position, their path, and the way that all of our paths are connected and overlap. These are the values that create a thriving world. And they have very little to do with thinking alike. They are rooted in being flexible of mind and heart. These are the values rooted in open-ended questions, in wonder and curiosity about the world. These are the values that imply, they demand action. They also make way for mistakes and change and healing. So don't stop at like-mindedness. Be like-hearted. Be like-visioned. Be like-valued. And use that as a springboard to make change in a hurting world. May it be so.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing our closing hymn, number 60, In Times of Silver Rain.
I leave you this morning with these words written by the Reverend Dan Schatz, who says this: "When I speak of love, I do not mean romance, though this too deserves praise. I do not mean a warm feeling, though goodness knows we need warmth in bitter times. When I speak of love, I do not mean making friends, though I could use them, and I recognize only love creates friendship. When I speak of love, I do not mean acquiescence, self-sacrifice, or cheap forgiveness, or a false promise of perfection. No, the world is overfilled already with such easy sentiments. When I speak of love, I mean nothing more or less than opening to what is sacred in all of us, even when it is broken, even when it is hidden, even when it is inconvenient. This love transforms. This love illumines my heart. This love shapes my living. This love demands better of me, always. This love brings me home so that I find it when I have lost my way. So when I speak of love, please do not shake your head or smile in condescension. Instead, listen to your own soul's longing. Together, let us speak of love."